This review is based on a digital copy of the game provided by Capcom for review purposes, and all the footage you're about to see was captured on a PlayStation 4 Pro. I am a huge fan of Monster Hunter since the day it started in 2004, so keep that in mind with everything that I am about to say. Monster Hunter World is the best ever Monster Hunter. Mechanically, aesthetically, everything. There are a few small things that I do wish it did better, but it's making the best possible steps in the right direction without losing what made this series so fun. Monster Hunter World plays exactly like all the previous titles. It's essentially a series of boss fights against massive mean monsters. You hunt them down in an area, fight them to the death, and upon slaying the target, you carve up their hides and use those pieces to create new weapons and armor to fight even bigger monsters. Combat is fast, heavy-hitting, deliberate, and most importantly, satisfying. Every single blow landing on the monster matters as you try to get any amount of damage you possibly can, as they are big and threatening. The more you fight with them, the more you learn about their attacks, when to dodge, when to block, and where to hit them where it hurts. It's part of where the hunter aspects comes in Monster Hunter, learning your target and using that knowledge to your advantage. A new addition to Monster Hunter World is damage numbers. These are incredibly helpful. Not only can it let you know when you do a big hit by showing you exactly how much damage you've done, it gives more feedback than ever before. Orange numbers means you're hitting them somewhere that's particularly vulnerable, where gray numbers means you're hitting thickened hide or somewhere with a lot of defense. This feedback lets you know that, for example, their legs are particularly sturdy, but their head and wings or tail or whatever isn't. Before, this information was hidden away. Now, it's readily available in front of you, and that is excellent. And for Monster Hunter purists, the damage numbers can be turned off. Even as a longtime player though, I found myself preferring to have it on. Again, I think it makes combat more satisfying letting you know when you do a big hit just how big it was. Or even getting an idea of what part of the monster is squishy so that you can potentially damage it or cut off tails or whatever. Plus, if you're fighting against a new monster and suddenly feel that your damage isn't as high as it used to be, maybe it's time to switch weapons so that your element isn't the same and you can find out what it's weak to. Another fantastic addition is the feeling of actually hunting and tracking down the monster, with every area now being one large, continuous zone, without any kind of loading screens in between. You find the monsters by using its tracks. You'll find footprints, claw marks, scales, and the like, and you can use that to find where it is. Get enough information and your scout flies will lead the way to the monster you're tracking. I know some longtime fans had concerns about the flies giving the exact direction, but honestly, it's no different than using a paintball and seeing exactly where it's going on the minimap. The scout flies are fine, and they're helpful. Even better, as you research more and more, you learn more about the monster. This will let you see on the minimap when it's hungry, when it's near death, and where it's going on the map. And you can see exactly where it's weak, what can be damaged, and what rewards you can get for this monster. Previously, this information was only available in wikis online that fans put together. Now, it's all right there in the game, and that is excellent. The biggest change to Monster Hunter World compared to previous entries is the numerous quality of life upgrades for returning players, and addressing the ease of accessibility for new players. Gathering has always been a big part of Monster Hunter. This meant spending the beginning hours picking up herbs, mushrooms, and mining ores. This is still done in World, but it's made much more convenient. Gathering is incredibly fast now, and you can do it on the run. You can now select specific items to be automatically crafted for you, so just grabbing some herbs means you instantly have 2 healing potions. Much less time is spent gathering, meaning you can get to the fun stuff of hunting monsters much faster. Adding to this convenience is that you now have infinite whetstones, bug nets, and pickaxes, and materials that you gather for weapons and armor have their own inventory spaces, which do not conflict with all of your healing items and other hunting tools. Finally! Another big thing is having multiple starting camps in each area and being able to return to these camps whenever you need to for a complete loadout change. You can now change out your armor, drop off items, completely change weapons, or even get new quests to do, all without having to return to town. This means there can be much less downtime in between hunts should you choose so. This also ties into the online mode, where 16 people can meet up and up to 4 can go on a quest at once. Now, you can join a quest in the middle of it and help out. Or, if you're by yourself and having trouble, you can shoot out an SOS flare and let anyone arrive to help out. And easily the best, doing the key story quest to unlock the next hunter rank is now achieved by everybody, not just whoever posted the quest, meaning a lot less repetition of the same things over and over again. This ties into armor too, as the skill system has been changed. Previously, it was pretty much worthwhile to obtain an entire set of a monster's armor to get all the benefits of the skills it provided. Now, with each piece automatically causing an effect, it's much easier to mix and match the pieces you want. This means that you don't need to hunt down the same monster over and over again just to get a rare carve like a plate, as you can easily just wear another monster's armor instead. Even better, thanks to the updated art style, mixing armor pieces can actually look pretty cool and you won't feel like an idiot. What this all means is there is less repeating the same hunts over and over again to get what you want. You're still going to do that to some degree, but it is significantly reduced compared to other games. Monster Hunter World has the fastest and best forward progression that the series has ever had. And this is something that newcomers desperately needed. A lot of gripes people who tried to get into this series have has also been addressed. For example, you can now roll out of almost any action. Accidentally sharpening or gathering or using an item can now be cancelled out, avoiding irritating punishment. You no longer stand completely still when eating or using a recovery item, as you can run while doing so. This adds to that newfound fluidity of combat, as you can now slide down hills into jump attacks, bow gunners can now move and fire, and every weapon has been tweaked with improved movesets. I find bow guns much more fun to play now than ever before. The presentation of the story has also been given a huge overhaul. Cutscenes with voice acting is new for the series, and helps give the player an idea of why they're doing what they're doing. And you can select any language you want. The handler chiming in can also help remind players of controls or how items work, making sure that new players are much more welcome than ever before. That said, the story itself is nothing new. It won't dramatically change Monster Hunter or the way you view it. It's the same kind of Elder Dragon story thing that it's always been, just presented in a now modern way. If you're looking for a deep, enriching story with developed characters and story arcs, and it's not here. This is, as it always has been, about the gameplay. I have an incredible amount of fun playing Monster Hunter World. Using the new slinger for traversal attacks and equipping all the different mantles gives even more customization and is super fun, especially for veteran players. All that said, much like any monster, this game still has its weaknesses. For as much as this game has addressed most of the archaic mechanics that scorned newbies to the series, it still doesn't quite do enough to explain everything. There are still a lot of mechanics that are left unexplained or still too complex for a cursory glance to figure it out. It's much better than ever before, but not quite there for true easy accessibility. And even though it's much faster and easier to get to the cool fights, the opening 45 minutes or so of the game is a very slow slog through doing close to nothing while a bunch of cutscenes play out. Then it's finally fun. Also returning is the massive monster fights, the ones with cannons and ballistas that you shoot at a large creature, and it's still the same thing. Visually impressive, mechanically boring, as you just kind of pick stuff up and put it into a turret and then shoot the turret. And this one is far more confusing than it should be at certain times. It also definitely does not have as much in it as the previous Ultimate games, which just had tons of areas and monsters and G-rank versions to fight. Monster Hunter World doesn't have that, yet. While there isn't as much here as previous games, there is still tons to go through, and you'll be able to easily sink dozens, if not hundreds of hours into this game. Plus, they have already said free content updates are coming in the future, with the first one adding in the Devil Show. Monster Hunter World has finally brought the franchise to the modern age. It finally fixes so many of its outdated design flaws, tried to make it accessible to new players, to some success, and frankly, it's incredible to see it made for a modern console again. Veterans will only find things to love in this new edition. Monster Hunter World earns a 9 out of 10. If you're completely new to this series and you're looking to get into it, this is easily the best one to do. Or if you want to see more of what the game is like, I'll have plenty of videos of it over on my second channel, ProJared Plays, which I'll link to in the description down below. Subscribe there, subscribe here, and be sure to send up an SOS flare so I can help you out, and I'll see you in Monster Hunter World.